Hello everybody, my name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Double Game Week 26 Deadline stream in partnership with FPL Team, and it's live. We are 59 minutes away from the 6 p.m. UK time. Double Game Week 26 Deadline as per usual. I'll be trying to answer as many of your FPL dilemmas as possible between now and the deadline. But before I get into the questions, let me take you through some of the graphics because that will answer many of your questions. My team is on screen. Rolling to 4 free transfers. Verbruggen in goal over Dubravka. Hate both options. Gone with a better keeper. Timber, triple captain. Gabriel, Nico O'Reilly, Enzo Fernandez, Bruno Fernandes, Declan Rice, vice triple captain. Morgan Rogers, Igor Thiago, Erling Haaland, Hugo Ekitike in reserve. Martin Dubravka, Harry Wilson, Omar Alderete and Malik Chow. Captaincy preference is Gabriel, Declan Rice, Timber. You will see my top 10 order of preference rotating on screen along with my correct score predictions for all 11 games in the game week. You will also see my predicted lineups for all 20 teams rotating in the bottom right hand corner. Very bottom ticker has all the flag players and next 5 game week fixtures for all teams. And directly above that and directly below me are the benching dilemmas where there are 2 players together. The player with the tick is the preferred option to start a running order left to right, pages 1 to 4. And you will find some cheaper goalkeeper rotation options on page 5. That's the spiel done. I've got nothing else particularly to announce. So let's have some fun. No Q&A at the end of this one. Literally, I'll be shutting down the stream at 6 o'clock because I need to get to White Hart Lane. Good luck, everybody. Play it your way. Said Ashan is first. Says, hello, James. 2 free transfers, 2.1 million in the bank. Would you get Enzo and Strand Larsen instead of Evanilson and Potts and bench Thiago versus Arsenal? Finally, would you punt triple captain on Rice? Thank you. No to the last bit. The transfers are fine, but Enzo probably does become something else in game week 28, and you might find that the same happens with Strand Larsen as well. Billy T Productions, what's happening, Jimbo? Would you bench boost with Dubravka, O'Reilly, Dalot, and Elliot Anderson? No. What happens if O'Reilly doesn't play? Has to be a possibility. Sean G says, hi, James. Would you transfer Senesi to Munoz for free? Dead end to 31, wildcard 32. Not sure I would because Senesi's fixtures from 27 to 31 are absolutely great, right? Get through this week and he becomes a potential option for me. And he was a consideration for now. So I get the appeal of Munoz. Look, if I could have gone Malik Chow to Daniel Munoz for free, I would have done that. I had 0.2 in the bank. The effective 2 free transfers it would have taken me to do it now would probably likely cause me a massive headache in my build towards wanting to have free transfers, and many of them similar to what I've got now in game week 32. What I need to do is make some transfers before I get to 31. Munoz wouldn't be leaving before 31. And that would possibly be a scenario with many other City and Arsenal assets that I own as well. So, excuse me, I've let it go. That might be different for you. On the face of it, Munoz instead of Senesi this week. Yeah, but I don't think I've been Senesi with them fixtures coming up, mate. Mike FPL says, hi, James. Would you do Verbruggen to Martinez this week if it means you should still have 4 free transfers after wildcard 32? Or feel free to suggest another keeper. I don't have a playing second keeper. I considered that move as well because one of the things I considered was Chow to Richards and then maybe going Verbruggen up to Emi Martinez. Similar thing. It was giving me the same problems as Munoz with the additional Palace player, basically. Martinez is the one that I looked at. There's a couple of things with that. I think Verbruggen's fixtures other than 28 is pretty shit. But I'd say the next 3 are okay just to survive. You might want to look at something else 29 through to 31. Something like Kevin Kelleher will probably show up after this week that looks bad now. And the problem with Emi Martinez is he just keeps getting these innocuous injuries that like rule him out for a game. Excuse me. And I considered that in my thinking as well. So like next 3 are great, but then I don't really want to look at him against Chelsea and Man United 29-30. Obviously the 31 fixture's good. So I'd say hang on. If you want to make a goalkeeper transfer, look at going maybe Kelleher as of next week or maybe the week after, for example. It's something I might do. It's to be honest, I'll probably just carry on with Verbruggen and Dubravka, but I accept that looks particularly bad if you don't have a second playing keeper. CMP says on one option might be for you. If he keeps playing, he's like Cole Darlow 29. I spoke about maybe moving for Bruggen there. Maybe it's Cole Darlow if he's still in the team as your second choice. Better 31 fixture as well. CMP says on Sells and Dubravka, do I cut ties and bring in Kelleher? Wait a week, hold out and keep Sells. I hate to use a transfer on a goalkeeper, and Sells has been great when healthy, but he can't stay on the pitch. Yeah, and we don't know that Ortega won't just stay in the team even when he's back now anyway. So, yeah, I think it's a bin, mate. Adam says, evening, Mr. Linden, thoughts on saving triple captain as someone who has used bench boost already? Worth the fingers crossed double game week gamble? I'd get it used. I think one of the arguments to, I'll use it 33. If you just have a look at the combination of fixtures 33 and 34, nothing looks better than what Arsenal have got now. You've also got that double potentially happening with teams having a FA Cup semi-final afterwards, and obviously potentially still have European involvement. Like, it could be quite messy from a triple captaincy perspective. That also means it could be messy from a bench boost. You've used your bench boost. You might be able to free hit in 33. Personally, I would use the triple captaincy now. Personally, that's my advice to everybody. So we can bin those questions. Honestly, I would just get it played. Sort Gaming says Dewsbury Hall or Anderson for Potts. Slight preference on Elliot Anderson. Slight. Gavin Richardson. Next week, my dilemma is Sade and Rogers or Dango and Verts. Budget force. Wildcard 31, 32. Late free hit. Which pairing scores the most in the 6 game weeks in your opinion? My opinion, Gavin, is put the phone down, mate. One of them might get injured in a cup at the weekend and decide that for you. Like, honestly, just worry about it. But at this moment in time, I'd probably say Sade and Rogers, but don't worry about it, mate. Hiradi says, hi, James. Ciao to Munoz this week. Blocks buying Thiago next week unless I sell Ekiteke. Don't do that. Can do Enzo to Dango in 28. Or swerve Munoz and use 2 free transfers to get Thiago by selling Krupi next week on game week 32 wildcard. Sounds complicated, Hiradi. I'd let it go. Yeah, honestly, listen, it's a scary one because the appeal is absolutely huge. But the game week's still more likely to be defined by what happens with Arsenal players. And I do think with Munoz, it's short term. It's max 5 game weeks. You might even get to 28 and think, I don't want this. It'd be a very subpar Brighton at the weekend. JP Zizou says, Gay to Timber or Saliba, worth it. Got Ray and Gabriel already. Yep. Double, mate. Shadow Facts says, hi, James. Free transfer, 0.4 million in the bank. Currently on treble Arsenal and Haaland. Thoughts on bringing in Lacroix for Chow to rotate with Anderson. I presume that's meant to be Joachim Anderson leading up to the blank. Struggling to find cash to get to Munoz. My honest answer to that is, if it's just a rotation option, which I understand, it's fine, I'd probably just go Richards, mate. Save the money. You might find that more useful. Rao says, with Szoboszlai red, would you take a calculated risk selling either Verts or Ekiteke for 1 week to fund Arsenal players? I'm not as high on Verts as some other people. I am high on Ekiteke, although I think there's every chance Ekiteke will blank this week, and it probably both will. So I think Verts to Rice, sure. Wouldn't consider any other Arsenal attacking player. David Tillstone says, evening, James. Of 4 free transfers, I'm thinking Van der Ven and Cunha to Munoz and Sarr. Burnley and Wolves at home are surely points for the taking. Need Cunha funds to afford Munoz. So this is interesting. You need to get the funds from Cunha to buy Munoz. Who's the better asset, Cunha or Munoz? Stop. Considering the blank, I think the answer's still Cunha. So, like, if you want a bit of Palace coverage, just consider what I just previously said. Maybe go Van der Ven to Richards. Martin Aliaga says, hey, James, would you do Deveni to Dewsbury Hall and Ndiaye to Verts or Sarr from -4? Well, if you're in a position where you have to play Deveni, then I'm going to say yes, but I'm not convinced that is your circumstance. So it's what's coming out the team instead is kind of part I'd want to know, so it's a difficult one to answer. And Ndiaye to like Sarr from -4. Not convinced about that personally. It's still 2 home games for Everton. They play Burnley themselves in game week 29. Plays in the blank. Not convinced personally. I'm sure the Palace guys will do well over these 2 weeks. I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just asking people to consider thinking ahead a little bit. That's all. Ayrton Sinner says, would you take a -4 for Timber to get triple Arsenal, but this would involve benching Ekiteke and Die? Yep. Dan says, would you bring in Munoz for Cucurella or Sarr for Enzo? Probably not, no. For similar reasons given for other questions. Kenneth Faz says, am I crazy or is Rice a safer captain and Gabriel? Defcon gives him 4 and just 1 attack in return, takes him to 7, 9 plus bonus on top. That's one way of looking at it. Or you can just go, whoa, Gabriel's going to get a 15-pointer on Thursday night and then another one next Wednesday. Bang, 30 points. How's Rice going to match that? Now, that's obviously not going to happen, we think. No, disagree. I mean, if I thought that, I'd put the triple captaincy on Rice. Ben Guy says, who's a better pick from Gameweek 28? Verts or Ekiteke? Matters for my transfers this week. Preference for me would be with Ekiteke. Harry B says, yes, James, thoughts on bringing in Semenyo for Lafay, as I can't afford Boomo in one move. Or would you take a -4 downgrade Hall to afford Boomo? Cheers. Yeah, Semenyo for next 5's fine. Again, factor in the fact that he will lose a fixture, obviously, in game week 31. But you can go into other players at that point. Yeah, buying Semenyo now feels better than it did last week. People asked me about buying him last week for Liverpool away. Okay. Next 5 are good. We think he stays in the team. That might change once the Champions League restarts, but it's not for a little while. Yeah, I don't mind if you want to go Semenyo, mate. CMP says, next week, same question. Start Dewsbury Hall or Virgil. What about next week for, man? It's like fucking deadline for that's like 10 days away. Just relax. Dewsbury Hall, Man United at home. Virgil van Dijk. Oh, cool. Ricky Young says, hi, James. Who would you bench, Tarkowski or Maguire? Should the fact I have Bowen affect my decision? Who would you bench, Tarkowski or Maguire? Yeah, I'd play Tarkowski. I'd probably play Tarkowski anyway, mate, to be honest. Ricky Young, I've just done. CM Punk, been oscillating between 200, 400k for the past 12, 14 game weeks. Feels like I'm stuck in a rut, even though I'm taking enough risks, in my opinion. Trust the process or get riskier? Trust the process. Still a long way to go. Luke Stevenson says, selling Ekiteke to Pedro or Larson for a 2-week punt. Who should I buy? Larson better X minutes, but Chelsea better attack. Is Larson on pens? I would just stay with Ekiteke. Personally, that's my honest advice. Just save the transfer. What you got to ask yourself: there's 2 transfers, one to sell him, one to buy him back. How much gain do you need from the 2 transfers? That's also going to take 2 transfers away from what you want to do in future weeks. Like my advice would be, and I think Ekiteke probably blanks this week, but I'll just stay on him. Personally, I could do that, couldn't I? I've not done it, so. My advice is like hold on with Ekiteke. If you're buying one of the 2, truthfully, I would go João Pedro. Gavin says the Fulham lad on COTC knew his team inside and out, as all true fans do. He does, Lewis, certainly. Was thinking if Wilson stays 8 or 10, could Dango be a replacement option for a while as Bob settles in? No, I think, as Lewis said there, like he would prefer him on the right. They tried it for one game at Leeds. It didn't particularly work, so I wouldn't deem Oscar Bob as an immediate threat. And from a fantasy perspective, you need to see him playing before you can consider. Adam Sturdham says, would you gamble on Watkins to Gyökeres as third Arsenal? No. Brighton, Leeds, Wolves, nice fixtures. Think he plays. Think Abraham plays in the Cup. BDT Productions, how likely is it that we'll know about double game weeks before the game week 31 deadline? I'm now thinking of wildcard 31 instead of wildcard 32. Start to load up in Palace, Man City. How likely is it we'll know? 0%. The FA Cup quarterfinals are after game week 31, mate. So there's no factual way that you can know. You might know something about, say, Man City go out to Champions League. Oh, it's gone into game week 32 or something. You might. But the answer is 0%, mate. The FA Cup quarterfinals take place after the game week 31 deadline. So, you'll know before the 32 deadline. That's a certainty. Before 31, it's impossible, mate. What I'd certainly say is, obviously, at that point, you might have a cup draw where it's like Arsenal, City, Villa, Liverpool are home to championship teams, and you go, I think they're all going to win. I've got a good idea. It might work that way. Holly Lois says, would you do Van Dijk and Munoz or roll to 3-3 transfers? Already have 6 blanking in 31 if you include Dorgu. Those Munoz fixtures are incredible, but 31 is the kicker. Yeah, I think you've answered that, Holly. I'd hold on to Van Dijk, personally. I would not be surprised if that game tomorrow night ends 0-0, by the way. Like, I've really envisaged Sunderland and Liverpool being low scoring. And under that circumstance, actually, Van Dijk might haul in it. Yagu says, "Hi, James. I've got to play 2 of Krupi, Thiago, Wilson, Anderson, and Alderete this week. Currently the first 2. Only 1 free transfer. Worth to use it now to upgrade any of them with Joss Roll. So Krupi's fine. Thiago's fine. You want in a couple. Wilson, you want in a few weeks. Anderson, you keep. Alderete's fine as well. Yeah, just leave him be, mate. Leave him be. The reality is, like, I feel a bit naked with no Palace assets this week. I realise, I mean, it's obvious from the questions, what other people are doing, that, like, there's a lot of investment happening in Palace. So I feel a bit naked without it. But ultimately, this game week is so highly likely to be defined by what the Arsenal players do. Simon B says, "Hi, James. Would you do Munoz for Chow or Sarr for Stack for a Palace punt?" Well, that depends a little bit on structure, maybe. Chow is okay. I've still got him. He's okay, but if you've got a rotation with Sunderland. If you don't, I'd probably go to Munoz move. Stack's fine as well, and he'll be back for Gameweek 27. Although Stack is of no use to you at the moment. So I guess it comes down to structure a little bit, and then ultimately what you're going to do with whichever one you buy, like, moving forward once you hit 31. Possibly going to be a factor. It's probably the Munoz move, probably. Mike says, "Regretting bringing in Chalobah last week instead of Munoz. Would you spend a transfer to correct it, meaning only having 3 free transfers after Wildcard 32? No. Chalobah's got Leeds at home, Burnley at home, and he's picking up 4 points every week. No. Jesus says, "Start Thiago or Hill." Thiago, I'd say just about Thiago. I realised the confliction of going against the Arsenal defensive players. I really wanted to bench him this week, but I had no confidence in the 3 guys I've left on the bench. So, and if I had Hill, I don't think that'd be any different. Prashan says, "Hi, James. Would you start Kelleher or Dubravka? Not expecting a clean sheet from either, but save points would be nice. Probably Dubravka." Yeah. I lent into the idea with me picking for Bruggen is different to Kelleher playing Arsenal. I just lent into the idea that Villa had lost their last 2 home games 1-0. I don't think Brighton get anything at Villa. But could Brighton fix themselves up? I've got a load of predicted changes to the Brighton team. Could they go there and like, Villa get a bit frustrated like they have done in the previous 2 home games? It's unlikely against Brighton as it was against Everton, Brentford. They're far more powerful defensively than Brighton. But I considered it as a possibility. And that's why I went for Bruggen. Now, I'd be surprised if that was the case with Kelleher. I've got no confidence in Burnley either, I'm afraid to say. Kenneth Faz says, "What are the chances of getting at least one team to double in game week 36? Decision point to save my tribal captain." As said, just use it. What are the chances? Specifically in 36, I'd say less than 50%. Because I think 35 is a possibility. I think 32 is a possibility. It depends completely, really, at this moment, on what Manchester City do in the Cups. And there's also a key factor of what happens with Aston Villa and Liverpool in both the FA Cup and Aston Villa in the Europa League can also have an impact as well. Okay. Best case scenario for Manchester City to double in game week 36, I would say, is probably elimination, specifically in an FA Cup quarter final, and Aston Villa and Liverpool are still in Europe with at least one of them in the FA Cup semi-finals. It's complicated, isn't it? It's complicated. Because even if it does happen by virtue of, semi-final rearranged to 36, it's the only available week. This is a possibility that it's forced that way. If City continue to progress in Europe and the FA Cup, it's possible that it's forced. It may be that it's double game week where they've got great fixtures at home to Brentford and Crystal Palace, of which the second game against Crystal Palace will be 3 days before an FA Cup final that they might be in. And if the title is done, guess what? Right. It might be amazing, mate, but we can't see it. And I get it. Ideally, we'd have all loved to have gone Haaland triple captaincy or Fernandes like we've done in the past. Remember that time with Rashford? It's right in front of you for me. Gabriel is performing like a top 3 FPL asset priced at 7 million. He's a defender. It feels uncomfortable, but they are mad reliable. As I think it's Jamie Van, might have been, forgive me, I might got that wrong, like tweeted earlier. His lowest scoring consecutive weeks this season is 8. I'd gladly take 8 for Gabriel now. The chip is massively overrated. I just don't really want a 1-pointer from it. But I tell you what, because it's Gabriel and who he plays for, I'd quite take a 3-game ban for a red card on Thursday night, quite happily. Andres says, hi, James. What do you think about Gyökeres minutes this double game week? Good luck, amigo, you too. God, very difficult to say. I don't have him in the predicted lineup for Thursday night at Brentford. There you go. Dale Steele says, play 2, Senesi, VVD, Thiago, Raul Jimenez, or transfer Jimenez out. Yeah, I think probably timing to take Jimenez out. The difference with him and, say, Anderson and Wilson, obviously Fulham are coming back around to good fixtures really soon from 28, is Jimenez now has the Rodrigo Muniz threat as well. And Jimenez has played a lot. So I think moving Raul Jimenez on is probably actually, timing-wise, it's the right thing to do. Definitely leave Thiago at the moment. I think leaving the 2 defenders are okay. In terms of which ones to play, I'd probably, from that list, personally, probably go VVD and Thiago. CM Punk says, is it worth making a short-term switch before dead ending, say Enzo Rice to Wilson in 28-29? Is it worth keeping that free transfer for post-wildcard, post-bench boost? Free transfers could come in handy. I have no problem with attacking. I mean, Enzo Fernandez to Harry Wilson or Dango will be popular moves in 28. Yeah, right. There's going to be an influence of how well covered you are for 31. Like if you're sitting there with no Man City and no Palace, well, you got less need for transfers, right? But if you do, you're going to look at Tottenham at home, West Ham at home, Forest away, Burnley at home, and then probable wild card and go, okay, that's quite nice, isn't it? Yeah, no shit, it is. Alex Bateup says, hi, James, start Mukiele or Tarkovsky? Tarkovsky for me, mate. Johnny 5X says, James, considering VVD to Munoz for a hit, this is another bad decision from me this campaign. Thanks and good luck. No, look, I don't like hits for defenders. Certainly, it was someone like Daniel Munoz, there's a massive upside. But realistically, for that hit to pay, you need him to return an attacking return, realistically. As said, every chance Van Dijk, I lit a DEFCON this week as well. Not for me. Dan says, if you have 2 Arsenal defenders this week and no triple captain, I wonder if you still want Arsenal to concede. The answer to that is probably yes. Unbelievably. Yeah. Yeah, think about it logically. I'm effective ownership 400% as a triple captain, all right? So if you're just on the 2 defensively, with that no captaincy, whatever captaincy 300%, you'll be borderline with just captaincy. If you're going like Rice captain with the 2 defensively, just Gabriel Timber, yeah, you're probably going to want them to concede. Yeah, it's a reality. Spooky Sorcerer says, hi, James, have 5 frees. Nice. Have to play one of Keane or Alderete. Preference would be Keane. Should I do Keane to Hill and Alderete to Richards, play both and bench Wilson, or do one of those moves and do Wilson to Sarr? Yeah, I think at this stage, hold Wilson. He's coming back, so it's another transfer probably to bring back, particularly if you've got value. For me as well, that's I shouldn't think about it too much, but you do. I bought Harry Wilson at 5-2. Oh, he ain't selling him, man. He's sitting there for me. If you bought more recently and you want to dive up, okay, a little bit more, but you need Sarr to explode for that to be worthwhile. You may not want to go back, in which case, a bit different. But Sarr's going to someone in 31. And that's only a certainty, okay? Keane to Hill. Yeah. Alderete to Richards. Gives you 1 extra short. Don't love it, mate. It's the honest answer. I don't, but I also get that you're sitting there with 5 free transfers. So you're going to do something. I think Hill is better for the next 6 weeks than Alderete. There you go. Richards, how much upside? Oh, I want the 6 points. It's probably what it is. Petey says, I'm 121 points behind my mini league rival, but still determined to catch him. Good. We currently have 9-15 players the same. I think he will triple captain this week. Is it worth waiting for a Haaland opportunity? My opinion is no. You could go for a different triple captaincy. You could go Timber instead of Gabriel if that's what you think you're going to do, right? I'd probably prefer that, genuinely. Gavin says, who's the biggest prick on a football pitch, Cucurella or Romero? Romero. At least Cucurella's antics are consistent. Romero's like, yeah, You don't know what you're going to get. Maito says, hi, James. Alderete to Richards for -4. Worth it if having to play Sunderland player this week and Palace with the good fixtures. We'll need to play them over the next 3. Again, stop, think. What are you expecting from Richards this week? Well, I was hoping for a 6-pointer. Right, well, Alderete's probably 2. It's not worth it, is it? It's not worth it. Jurgen says, I need to deal with Potts for game week 31. Should I bring Dewsbury Hall now to bench Thiago? I don't mind that. I think there'll be a bit of investment for Dewsbury Hall as well. So I don't mind that. Ultimately, Sudge is in that situation. I keep saying it to every week. You're going to have to deal with Potts at some point. So if the opportunity is there just to move a little bit of the money, give you a stronger kind of 8 attackers, yeah, I'm okay with that. D-Taff says, after ignoring advice on captaining Bowen, sorry, I will no longer be playing it my way. That was a bad decision. No, please, always play it your way. Bad outcome. Not necessarily a bad decision. I bet you thought when West Ham scored early, you thought, oh, this is all right. Yeah. Blue Christo, evening, mate. Business end of the season starts here. Would you play Ekiteke or Thiago? Double Arsenal defence owner, triple captain, Big Gabby. Comfortably Ekiteke. Like I said, I don't fancy him this week. But yeah, Ekiteke, without a doubt. Yeah. Next up, Colin Johnson. Hi, James. Play Gay or Chalobah as third defender with Gabriel and Timber. She's close. They're both on the bench in dilemmas. The preferences with Chalobah, mate. I edged that way just because of how good Chalobah's been for DEFCONs recently. Kind of feels like because of how good he's been on it, and you wouldn't expect it from Gay, he kind of is starting, I don't know, sort of 1.5 points ahead of him, maybe. And I'd say he's a little bit, I know the goals will say different this year, arguably a bit of a bigger set piece threat as well, actually, Trevor Chalobah. DF Howard says, hi, James. Currently only on 2 Arsenal. Can only get to Timber with a hit. Does it make sense to take a hit to bring him in for O'Reilly and take out Bruno Fernandes for Sarr? My goodness. No, please don't sell Bruno Fernandes, mate. My son, he's got a story we read. Please don't turn the page. Please don't sell Bruno Fernandes, mate. Your name is in foreign letters. Sorry. Do you prefer Lacroix or Sarr? Sarr. Lacroix saves me a transfer. I have 5 free transfers. Should be fine for 31. Already have Munoz. Sounds like you're looking for me to say buy Lacroix. That sounds like you want to do. So buy Lacroix. Wesley Mims says, hi, James. Got 2 FTs, 1.2 million with double Arsenal defence. Joachim Anderson, Dorgu and Rodon. Debating between Joachim Anderson to Munoz. And that's the one you don't want to get rid of. Dorgu to Lacroix or Dorgu to Munoz and get money elsewhere. If you can go, so you can go Dorgu to Lacroix for free, right? Dorgu's useless for you anyway. He's probably not going to be back before the March Internationals. So yeah, go Lacroix, mate. Anthony Hoops says, evening, mate. Would you start Tarkovsky or Senesi this week? Thanks and best of luck this week. Hit like. Tarkovsky, they're both on the bench in dilemmas, mate. Delicious Lemon Sauce says, evening, James. Thoughts on using bench boost triple captain before the blank wild card? Should one be saved, or if it looks good, get it done? So I have an out in my mind, which probably isn't going to look great. We get a lot more. We get some information hopefully this weekend, and then we'll cover off chip strategy again next week on the pod on Tuesday. We might bring that to Monday if the FA Cup draws earlier, but I'm assuming it's going to be Monday night. The draw is important. And then after Gameweek 29, we then get another load, right, from the FA Cup 5th round. And I have it in my mind that Gameweek 30 is an out for me for a bench boost. If it's like, the way this is looking now as a projection is not going to look good. I have Gameweek 30 in my mind for a potential out for bench boost to get rid of it. But realistically, again, triple captaincy, my advice would be this week. Bench boost, particularly if you've wildcarded, there is way more sense in getting rid of it. I think at the moment, until we got more information, those who still own the wildcard should also keep hold of the bench boost in most scenarios. Adam says, which 3 world football clubs do you regard as the best ran or most inspiring? Wow, what a question. The thing is, you could make a case that those who make the most money are the best runs. So, but then, Real Madrid were top of the Deloitte Money League and Barcelona were second. Well, I mean, Madrid's antics are questionable, Barcelona over the last decade have been an absolute shambles. Would I say they're the most inspiring? No. Um, I think it's lower down, isn't it? It's the feats of what Brentford achieve and Brighton achieve are pound for pound more impressive within their own goals to what they were. Brighton nearly went out the Football League in 1997, nearly became a non-league club. And Brentford is a small football club. The more these teams like them and Bournemouth stay in the Premier League, they become like furniture and you forget just how small they are. Bournemouth is just a little seaside town. That's it. That's all it is. And Brentford fans will tell you they're a bus stop in Hounslow, right? Brighton has the scope for real growth, I think, particularly of those three. But the way they're run, yeah, so look, without going too deep, it's an FPL show. I'll say those three. I am aware that Bournemouth spent very well to get into the position in the first place. FPL Kratos says, hi, James. I hope you're well. I'm looking to take a punt on Strand Larson. Currently have a front line of Krupi, Brobby and Thiago. I assume you'd sell Brobby for him. We'll then do Strand Larson to Ekateke in 28. Yeah. Yeah, to be honest, just thinking if you just want to just hold on a week and just go Ekateke. That's the only argument against that. Sean Limbrick says, own Gabriel, Timber and Saka. Who would you recommend for third Arsenal to replace the latter? I have 2 3s, so it doesn't have to be a direct replacement. I'm 287k overall. If that helps, give context. Thanks, bud. I would buy a midfielder for Saka. And there are loads you can choose from, be it, factor in 31, but Semenyo, Sarr, Enzo Fernandez, Florian Wirtz, maybe not quite right week. The Manchester United players, obviously, there's loads. And that's why I'd go for something there, and I'd go to third defensive. You can also, if you set it up to get Raya in, you can hide it. You can hide it in 31 on your bench without having to sell it. Effective gives you a transfer back potentially if you can hide that. So that's the way I would do it at this stage, is I'd put Raya in off your goalkeeper, probably the stronger of the two because you'll never bench Raya, or whichever one has the stronger fixture in 31. If you had, say, like Verbruggen, Dubravka like me, I'd just cut Verbruggen and I'll play Dubravka in 31. That's how I'd look at it. And then, yeah, take your pick from them midfielders, whatever you fancy. They're all good. They're all good. Spooky Sorcerer says, if going Son now means having to buy Dango instead of Thiago in Gameweek 28, would you do it? Yeah, I wouldn't look at Thiago as like a must, but I'm gonna say probably no. Thank you, Adudaka. Sorry, thank you for that. Although I'm pretty sure that I had turned that off, so. Someone's going to have to remind me how to turn the super chat off. If you want to donate to the show, please support the show at Patreon. You don't have to give me £5 on the stream. You can support us on Patreon from £3 for a whole month. Won't get you a lot of content, but it supports you. You get no ad content, which is good, and early releases. DF Howard is the one. No, I haven't. Hi, James. Currently on 2 Arsenal. Can only get to Timber with a hit. Does it make sense to take a hit to bring him in for O'Reilly? Take out Fernandez for Sarr. We did that one, didn't we? Sorry. I'm well off. Spooky Sorcerer have done. Tanky. Evening James. Want to sell Wan-Bissaka to a 5.8 million defender. Don't want triple Arsenal defence. So anyone better than Munoz? Probably not. No, under that sort of circumstance, I'd go Munoz. Like, I was very clear. If I could have gone Chow to Munoz in one move, I would have done it. So, yeah. Gavin Richardson says, I'm a Toon fan travelling to Villa Saturday instead of watching on TV, and I'll be back midnight. Season going to shit and we're all a bit sick of it. Will the doctor see us tonight? I imagine so, Gavin. Good luck, mate. Safe travels. Bruno Fernandefcon. Would you sell Potts to Dewsbury Hall / Douglas Luiz and bench boost with Dubravka, Riley, Chow? I wouldn't bench boost that, no. Would I make transfer? Probably, yeah. Frederick Hertz. Hey, James, should I go King to a midfielder sub 7.1? One of the Bournemouth guys, question or transfer, Jockey Manderson or Alderete? I'd probably leave that. Which route and what picks your fancy? You're saying a Bournemouth guy, right? You go punt Rayan, mate. I think he's going to be popular. I think he'll get left by a lot of people because we know more about the likes of Utara, etc. But yeah, you want an interest in Bournemouth. Yeah, honestly, he's the midfielder to buy from that club at the moment if you're investing in them. So I'm going to say Rayan. Colin Johnson, dub of Verbruggen. Gone for Bruggen, mate. Danny Alk says, start to avert Sekateke Van Dijk, the attacking players. Ross Mitchell says, hi, James. On bench boost. Sell Bowen to João Pedro from -4. Nuno gave me the fear. As far as we're aware, Jared Bowen trained yesterday. I hope that helps you. Sar Spirala says, hi, James. Would you start Mane over Bowen, Enzo, or Cunha? Thanks. None of them. Genuinely. Malcolm Shields says, bench Hill or Chow. Sam Streak says, hey, James, good luck this week. Start 2 of these 3. Ekiteke, Mukele, and Lafay. Again, attacking players. Don't forget to hit the like button, says Sam. Yeah, smash a like, please, freeloaders. How many we got? Let's have a look. Come on, I've got time. 24 minutes to deadline, by the way, guys. 140. You lot are taking the piss out of me. Free content, honestly. Rudeness. Smash a like, you freeloaders. Shenif Jack. Hi, James. Chow to Richards for free would mean bench and Thiago. I considered it. I considered that exact thing, and I said no, so I can only advise the same. Obviously, I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. Furniture says, hey, James, listening from North Carolina. Shout out to you and North Carolina. Jurgen says, I need to deal with Potts for 31. Should bring in Dewsbury Hall now to bench Thiago. I covered that earlier, I think. Yeah, it's fine. Rhino says, not triple captain this week, saving it for later. Do you think going for Rice captain is better and to play against Gabriel triple captainers? I'm going to say no, but I understand the logic. Vabe have Meta, Cunha and Van Heck to Palmer and Hill for -4. No, we've just lost the 20 points. Listen, I'm sure Cole Palmer probably do great for the next 2 weeks. He's going to someone else. And when he goes to someone else in 28, you're going to go, oh, Dango, Wilson. You might go to Verts, but either way, you're going to end up with more money in the bank. Dad says, hi, James. Munoz in for Tarkovsky. Again, what does that leave you on your path? I imagine there's probably not too many weeks where you want to play Tarkovsky after this one. So I don't mind that one if you're feeling fruity about it. Ivy Lovkov, sorry, I missed you out. Start Kelly or Konsa. You have a Ekiteke, start Konsa anyway. Nasserel Denny, hello, James. I have the luxury to buy a Wolves defender. I don't know if that's a luxury, mate. Just for this week to hide Thiago. Which one is better, Santiago, Bueno, or Krejci? Neither, mate. Please, save your transfer, mate. Is honestly what I'm going to say to that, mate. Next up is me losing my place in the transfer. Not the transfer. My God, there's a lot of questions. Right, it's time to rattle these a bit fast, more pace, I think. Where are we? Sorry, I don't want to miss anyone out. Someone's put a laughy emoji, which I definitely ain't covered. Oh God, where are we? Rhino, I've done. NASA. Hello, James. Just leave it be, mate. Taylor says, thoughts on Virgil to Munoz. I'd leave it. Tanky, how are you feeling about the Newcastle game? Genuinely fearing relegation if we don't win. Similar, something like that. A7X, I mean, 1 free transfer, 0.1 in the bank. Sell Tarkovsky or O'Reilly for Richards or Lacroix. Or should I roll? Again, how much problems is Tarkovsky going to give you to a Palace player further down the line? I don't know the answer to that. I can't see the rest of your team. On the face of it, yeah, sure, Tarkovsky to Lacroix, but what's the damage further down the line? Arguably, it's roll. Spooky Sorcerer. These guys can go to like Brentford, Fulham, Liverpool players in a couple of weeks if you just hold on. Spooky Sorcerer. With 5 FTs, I can afford to do Wilson to Sarr and switch it back in 28. Is it worth it? I'm 900k and I'm chasing. It sounds like you want to do it, mate. So in the case where you've got 5 free transfers, I'm not going to put you off. Morecambe says, hi, James. If there is a decent opportunity to play the bench boost for World Cup 32, shall I take it? Pros and cons. Yeah, that's why I said I like the 30 out, because I've got nearly the information at that point. You need to have the right players to make that work. There's a few things that need avoiding, like Everton away to Arsenal, Villa away to Manchester United, arguably. But I'd probably have to just suffer it with Morgan Rogers. This is one reason generally why I didn't consider Cash or Conso this week, was looking at that just on the off chance. I don't think it will be. The pros at the moment, the best advice I can give you is the pro is hold. Just for more info. You're going to get some more this weekend, hopefully. Neil Bez says, hey, mate, hope you're good. Yep, you too. FPL Alex says, hi, James, have the free Arsenal Timber over Gabriel's triple cap. Also, Mane in over single game with attacker. Who's the single game with attacker? I don't know, mate. Thanks, but I wish you luck. John Ville says, hi, James, I have Cherky in my team as a sort of differential. Would you get rid of him for someone else? I would have 7.9 million in the bank. Not sure what I think of Enzo or Rogers. I think Cherky plays tomorrow night, so I would leave that be at the moment. Pushcar says, hi James, been a while catching you live, though I've been following all pods. Amazing stuff, thank you. I stay in UAE and luckily travelling to London first time later this month. Any fan meet-up plans? I'll DM me by all means, my friend. Not at the moment. Life's a bit hectic and I've got somewhere I need to be at some point in the start of March in terms of European travels. And if it's Istanbul, that's going to eat into my life quite badly. So, yeah, DM me. Well, I'm sure we can figure something out. But, yeah, possibly maybe even FA Cup 5th round weekend, maybe. Or the international break. We'll figure something out, I'm sure. We'll try. Peter says, hi, James. Hope you're well. Took a punt on Abraham a few weeks back. Didn't work out. What would you think of a straight swap to Watkins for free? Cheers. Good luck. You could go Watkins and Abraham plays. That's a possibility, isn't it? I just think Watkins inevitably becomes something else. Once you hit like 29, 30, I think. Maybe not. It's going to be an every week a headache. Oh, is he going to play? Europe starts again and stuff like that. He could be good the next 3, though. I'll certainly add that to the equation. I don't hate it. I think probably, yeah, Abraham probably needs to go. Lee Thompson, hi, James. I have Alderete, Ronaldo, Tarkovsky, and Anderson, 2 free transfers. Who would you bring in or would you roll? Holding free and wildcard for as long as possible. So, probably been one of the Sunderland guys. Right, many places to go in and around that valley. I suppose it's Hill. Might be Goodmanson in 29, but it's not at the moment. So I think probably James Hill. Amanda Bergen says, hi James, need to replace Tav. Would you bring in Sarr or Dewsbury Hall? Only 6.5 to spend. Again, what's the consequences of 31? But I would look at the upside of Sarr on that and think, yeah, probably go for that. Pushkar says, I've got Cunha and Bruno, but don't feel like Cunha is the right second Man United pick with early subs. Got 1 free transfer. Thoughts on selling him? What's your mid-preference? Sarr, Enzo, Wilson. My thoughts are just carry on with Cunha this week, mate. Honestly. Just carry on with him this week, I think. It's Raw says, hi James, hope you're doing well. Who would you start? Matty Cash, Brighton at home, or Krupi, who's playing against my keeper, Pickford? God, Villa's so shit for Defcons. It's been that way for the whole season. Cash does at least offer attacking threat. I have backed them to win 1-0. So I say Cash. Shafwan says, hi James, bench Ekiteke, Bumo, or Mane. Mane. Or should I bench boost with one of them and Dubravka, Chalobah and Hill instead of triple captain? Thanks. Oh, Chalobah makes that interesting. Is there a small chance he doesn't play? Probably not. He should play. They've got Cup on Friday night, haven't they? So you'd expect him to play. I'd see worse ones, but I think hold that back. Probably. Yeah, I'll just hold it back, I think. Shani Razzle, big Jimbo, down to 11k from 6k. First world problems, absolutely. I only mention it because I seem to get a red arrow every time I miss the stream and don't get the old noggin rub. Well, don't miss it, mate. Next one's in 10 days or so. Ian Everett says, hello, Jimbo. I'm doing Van Hector Gabriel. I need to free up 2.0 to do so. Would you do Thiago to Krupi or Ekiteke to Strand Larson? Short-term punt, hit the like. Reluctantly, Thiago to Krupi. Chris Superman says, hey, mate, would you do one or both of VVD to Munoz and Verbruggen to Sarr? I don't bother with Sarr, man. As soon as you put him in the deadline of Parsh, you'd be like, what the fuck have I done that for? No, neither. Chris Woodstock, hi, James. Would you play Mane over Buma, Enzo, Pedro, Semenyo? Nope. None of them. Hamad says Richards or Hill. Thank you. Good luck. Richards, if he doesn't cause you further problems down the line. Stephen Carr. Hi, James. Should I play either Ekiteke or Verts over Elliot Anderson? Yeah, Ekiteke. Again, there's thinking something, and then there's fucking hell, he's a good player. All right, so Ekiteke. Yahya says, I have Haaland, Rice, Bruno, Rodgers, Ekiteke, Mane, Cherki. Enzo as a front 8. Who would you bench? Currently on Rodgers, but not convinced. From that lot. Mane. Comfortably for me. All those other assets are great. Seville Horgan says, oh, Cherky if you don't think he starts. Well, I think he does. There's a case for Mane over Cherky with that in mind. The others I'd all pick over Mane. Seville Horgan, would you sell Bowen for Pedro this week? No, I'd just leave it be. Zutian says, first time commenting, long time watcher, love the work, mate. I'm also on the ×3 Gabriel captain train. Here's hoping, I hope it flops. Sorry to everybody. I also did a cheeky punt on Sar from Wilson's my free transfer this week. Good luck. Alex Waterbaby, my friend, says, hey mate, I can go Rice to Bumo next week, but it cuts me off going Chow to Munoz this week. I would go Chow to Richards this week to afford Bumo next week. Do you prefer Munoz or Bumo? Again, further down the line, can't see a team. I'd say there's lots of good alternatives to Bumo that will maybe look a little bit more attractive after this week from some other teams, maybe like Florian Wirtz, for example. So the one in front of you feels right. Munoz probably, mate. That's close. That William Gatlin, would you move Anderson to Rayan? I have free transfer exact money. No. Regend Pasta. Nice. Fancy some now. Hi, James. Bench boost. Martinez, Marnie, Gay, Mukele. Not bad. Or triple captain Gabriel on bench boost next week. Thanks. I want to say triple captain Gabriel feels like more of a priority to me. Also, I'd be so shit scared bench boosting Martinez any week, I think. I hope they don't double in 33 because it will be a good double as well. And it honestly, he'll end up in all like, if Aston Villa have a double in 33, we'll all have Emi Martinez sweating on him playing. No, Martinez got a knock in the warm up. Why does it happen to him? Neil Bez says 1 free transfer got Saliba, maybe captain Timber. Plan to save triple captain likely with the Arsenal. I have considering Elliot Anderson, Zubin Mendy. Don't like taking out any other mids for Rice. Nah, just leave it be, mate. Liam O says, hey, mate, where would you put Barry on your bench in dilemmas? Thanks. Quite near the top, I would have thought. Bournemouth at home. Right with Bowen, I think. Honestly. Yeah. Right with Bowen. Geordie Pegler says, hi, James, got 2 threes, and I already have 6 players banking in 31. Would you chase the short-term upside by transferring Tarkowski to Munoz or start Tarkowski save? It's save for me at this moment, mate. Daniel D. Mata, hi James, I have Rice and Saliba, 1 free transfer. Thoughts on Gay to Gabriel and triple captain? Or Lafayette to, Gabriel route, mate. Shani Russell, noggin rub aside. Have an absolutely belting game week. Otherwise, hope Harry the Legend is well. And remind these 3 loaders to exercise their thumbs and drop like. Yeah, I was saying on our team news stream, he's starting to have a good stab at reading now, Harry. He's doing well. One Shep says, hi James, your thoughts on O'Reilly or Chow to Hill and Cherky to Rogers for free? Thanks, boss. Cherky to Rogers is tempting. You obviously probably want the money to do that. The thing is, O'Reilly to Hill don't make your team better this week, does it? Chow to Hill's kind of neither here nor there. So probably that route. Status, my friend, says, having Wilson Xhaka on 4.2 forward and pretty low on value, 0.7 in the bank. What do you think my structure is better to be? Should I get someone for Xhaka now? You got 4.2 forward. I'm guessing that's go. Can you get to Krupe first and foremost? Can you do that first of all? That's the first thing I'd be doing. Mr. Lithic says, hi James, any advice on swapping Reece James for Munoz? I have 3 free transfers. Reece doesn't play. I've got Thiago first on my bench. The problem with Reece James could easily be a 1-pointer, either via start and early substitution or via being substitution. He's been ill. I would note that Gary Mantle, our Chelsea correspondent, has predicted him to start, and Gary's pretty good with his Chelsea predictions. But yeah, I'd be tempted to do that, actually. What do you think of Bowen, Strand, Larson? Wouldn't bother. We'll help in upgrading Lafay to Wirtz next game. Already have Thiago. Don't love it. Larson's going to go to something else in 28. So what does Larson become? I need nothing now. I need to find money for Thiago. Yeah. Oh, you already have Thiago. Won't be Thiago then. I need to find money for Ekateke. It's even worse, isn't it? Joseph says, hi James, start Jimenez or Thiago. That's Jimenez of Bournemouth. Triple captain on Rice. Yeah, probably Thiago. IHM says, hi James, I only have Gabriel, 1 free transfer. I could do Chalobah to Calafiori and or Rogers Semenyo to Rice, or get Timber, Saliba, Raya by downgrading Wilson to Zubimendi, or Senesi to Hill, or sell Ekateke. Can you go Senesi to Hill? There's a lot going on there, mate, but that sounded like the best of it. BT says Cherky or to Saar or Tarkovsky to Munoz. I just think ultimately, I mean, I do think Cherky starts, but you are going to have this weekly pain with him. He's like, is he going to play? Isn't it? So probably that one, mate. Aish Wery Dorj says, would you go for option 1, Ekiteke to Yokeres? No. 2, Bumo to Rice, Somerville to Saar, or Alderete to Munoz from -4, or just do 1 from option 2. Yeah, I wouldn't chase off moving Somerville at this moment. Can you do Bumo to Rice and Alderete to Munoz for free? Does that work? Morecambe says, hi James, play Keller over Bruggen. I think for Bruggen. Nicoliao says, hi James, for 2 FTs. Chow and Bowen to Calafiore and Thiago. Odd time to buy Thiago, I'd say. Should I take a hit to move VVD to Munoz? No. Rory Lynch, I'm 20th in your league. Nice. 2.5k overall. I have Raya, Timber and Rice. Going triple captain Rice. Thoughts? Good luck, mate. Play it your way. Rob Passy says, James, why are people seemingly overlooking Rice for triple captaincy? Feel Brentford could easily score and Rice offers more routes to points. He also offers more points to blanks. This is the reality. Truthfully, Arsenal could win 2-0 twice and Declan Rice finishes on 6 points. Pick your narrative, mate. Zubin says, hey, James, should I play Virgil or Thiago? Van Dijk, just about. Lavitran Binaf, hi, James, currently do not have enough to get Timber, so is Saliba worth it? Or should I take a -4 to bring in Timber instead? Yeah, I mean, would I take a -4 for Timber over Saliba? No, probably wouldn't. So yeah, just go Saliba. I mean, you'd be secure with the minutes as well. I mean, arguably, if anything, Saliba is slightly more secure than Timber from that perspective. You'd think he must be. We're 8 minutes from deadline. For our patrons watching along, do drop me a tag if we've got anything in terms of team news. Particularly, I guess Chelsea might be interesting for people. Not that anyone gives a shit, but my understanding that the Tottenham team that's going around on screen is the team. But no, quiet on the Slack front at the moment. Let me know if you got anything, patrons. Be appreciated. Smash a like if you're watching along, guys. It's 7 minutes to deadline. Next up is Alex MJ. James, you've got Wilson over Alderete on bench, but Michele ahead of Wilson on bench in dilemmas. Yeah, because Michele's a much better bloody asset than Alderete. As I've learned as an Alderete owner, mate. There you go. Jez Tech says, thoughts on Ekiteke to Strand Larson for 2 weeks before going Thiago in 28. Already, I wouldn't bother. G and Brooks, bring it. To be honest, you're asking the guy who's just rolled the 4-3 transfer. You should know. A lot of you should know what I'm going to say. GM Brooks says, bring in Bumo or Verts. At this moment, it would be Bumo. At this moment. Ask me next week, you'll get a different answer. Haas says, hi, James. Start James Tarkovsky or Gay. That would be Gay for me. Unola Mesco, tempted by Miley to Douglas Luiz. It would mean benching VVD this week. But I wonder if Douglas Luiz is any more reliable than Miley once Europa League kicks in, particularly in the blank thoughts. Yeah. I mean, you ask me now if he's going to play at Tottenham in 31. Like, God knows, isn't it? But there's the potential upside of the Pens with him. I don't hate it. Probably a leave, I think, but I don't hate it. Mickey Mox says triple Arsenal defence. Also playing Chalobah. Senesi on bench. Transferred Chalobah out for Munoz. Fancy a punt. Yeah, I mean, Munoz isn't particularly a punt. It's a great transfer potentially, but I wouldn't bother. What's Munoz got to outscore Chalobah for? Over 2 weeks to make that feel worthwhile. Bearing in mind that Munoz is going to probably cost you an extra transfer down the line because you have to sell him before 31. You have to sell Chalobah. Patrick Donnelly, hi James. I currently have Van Heck starting. Is it worth holding and gain the info after the FA Cup or make the transfer to the likes of Anderson of Fulham? I have a Stev of Reynaldo off the bench. What did Fabian Hertzler say in the end in his press conference? Sorry to my patrons. I said I'd fucking find out and I didn't. Because when I did my team news stream, Hertzler hadn't spoke. Van Heck is available again following a minor hamstring issue. Matt's FIFA is closing in on a return as per Ben Dinnery. Okay. Currently have Van. Is it worth holding again? Info. Just info for what? Info for what? I mean, other than 28, when do you want to play him? That's probably a bin, isn't it? In fairness. Kevin Guy, hey James, start Cherky or Cherky to Rogers -4. Really the bone job. I'd probably just start him. LFC, BSFC, chasing 40 points to mini league leader. Do I gamble and back triple captain Rice over Gabriel to call it back or save the chip? I would use the chip. But by the way, that 40 points is just Cole Palmer's hat trick as a captain from last week, mate. Yeah, don't have to just timing. My curious fellow says bench one of Thiago, Gay, or Rogers. Oh God, Thiago. Ben Edinson -4. Van Hector Timber worth it. Yeah, it's a double. Otherwise, I probably would have said no. FPL Selorge says, hi James, first comment here. Would you play Alderete versus Liverpool, Calvert-Lewin versus Chelsea? Greetings from Portugal. I play Calvert-Lewin, mate. Good luck. Nenad Skerovic says, James, thank you for all you do. Love all the Patreon content. Thank you, mate. Highly recommend. Cheers. Brobby versus Croupy to start. I do understand it's shite asset versus shite asset. I'll play Croupy. D-Dot says, hi, big boy. Oh, you heard. Would you... Jokes. Would you bring in Munoz for Tarkovsky? The headache is I'll be benching Semenyo, Rogers, or Chalobah. Nah, leave it be, mate. Mazen says, would you still draw Captain Gabriel if he's your only Arsenal defender? Yep. Daniel Scar says, I still have Sade. Who would be the ideal replacement for him for under his price? Or should I keep him and play Thiago and Croupy until he's back? You got Kevin Sade. He's going to be back next week for some brilliant fixtures owned by absolutely nobody but you, Daniel. I'd hold him. In Shalius, start Harry Wilson or we'll never know what the or was. Camilo says bench one of Ghana or Chalobah. I play Chalobah. Uros says sell Cherky for Saar. No problem for 31. Yep, fine. FPL Copium. Semenyo and Chalobah to Rice and Saliba or force Timber in for extra transfer because of short funds. All free transfers. God, selling either Semenyo or Chalobah this week feels wrong to me, but extra fixtures, I can't argue it. Joe Higlin, hi James, love the content, mate. I have double Everton in Tarkovsky and Barry. I'm looking to get off them as the double up feels too much. Which one would you sell first? Probably Barry, but leave it this week. CMP says, I asked you the same question last week. Virgil or Dewsbury Hall question was for today. Oh, don't know. Van Dijk, probably. No, Dewsbury Hall, Bournemouth, maybe. Kieran Murphy, hi James. How important do you think saving free transfers for the doubles? Would you bring in Munoz for that? Will likely be for just 2 games for going to Virgil. If I just save. Yeah, I've kind of covered. You probably heard. Byron says, hi James. Would you do Keane to Munoz? Currently 6, not playing in 31. This one's a little different in the sense that Jared Braithwaite could nick Michael Keane's spot, I guess, is a small possibility. So that changes it a little bit. But Tarkovsky will definitely stay in the team. Fairly certain of that. Michael Keane. Yeah, that'd tempt me more because I think you're going to get more and more concerned about Jared Braithwaite potentially impacting that. So probably yeah. But again, check your full path. In Shalius, you should all be using FPL team or alternatives. In Shaliusov, hi James, start Bournemouth defender Jimenez or Harry Wilson. Harry Wilson, if you don't have a Man City defender, I'd probably go. Probably. Close. The thing is with Jimenez, he gets in little bits, but he's not as DEFCON reliable as the centre-backs, right? So, Uros says start for Bruggen or Dubravka. I've done for Bruggen. Donny Andrews, Mane or Gay. I'd go Gay, mate. Dermarola, start Barry or Cherky. Cherky if I've got. Uros, Trossard for Rice for -4. I hope you mean Rice for Trossard rather than Trossard for Rice. I mean, I wouldn't gamble Trossard at this stage. Would I go Rice for -4? Probably yes. Willis says on wildcard, Ray and Dewsbury Hall or Kelleher and Rice. Raya and Dewsbury Hall is my answer. We're a minute to deadline, which means I'm about 20 seconds from ending this stream, guys. Cam, Illo, bench 1, I've done yours. Kevin Guy, bench Cherky at home versus Fulham. Rekateke, where's Sunderland? Oh, probably Cherky. It's 6 o'clock, guys. Right, I love you lots. Sorry, there's loads of you I didn't get to, but I hope you enjoyed the stream. I love you lots. Smash a like, hit the sub button. Non-FPL questions, not now, I'm afraid, because I'm off to White Hart Lane. But it is Ask James, 12:30 p.m. UK time tomorrow. Please drop me some non-FPL stuff because it's a long time till Gameweek 27. I hope you all have a great game week. Remember, it's a long one, so don't think it's dead Tuesday, Wednesday, because the main shit's afterwards. Hopefully, all our free Arsenal assets do shit. Smash a like. Good luck, everyone. Ciao for now.